Well, good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning. I hope you're going to have a fantastic week. I'm sure as we begin, the subject we're going to be talking about today is going to be just an awesome encouragement to you. We've been studying God by His names, and we have seen how progressively over the course of human history, God has revealed Himself in so many different ways. And as we see in the Old Testament particularly, every time He revealed Himself, they gave Him another name. It wasn't another God, it was just another name for the same God. I want to talk today about the name Jehovah Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner. It's a great story, one of the most profound stories on prayer and spiritual warfare that you will ever find in the scripture, particularly the Old Testament. Moses in Exodus chapter 17 is up against the odds. His little razzmatazz little army of Israelites marching through the wilderness came up against a formidable enemy called the Amalekites. The Amalekites outnumbered them completely, they outweaponed them completely, they outtrained them completely. But the Israelites had a fight with the Amalekites. So Moses assigned Joshua to the task to lead his army into battle. And then we read how Moses and Aaron and Hur, his two very close friends, went up onto the mountain and they prayed while the battle was going on. And they noticed that every time Moses had his hands raised in prayer, Joshua would prevail over the Amalekites. But every time Moses became tired and his hands came down, then the Amalekites would prevail over the Israelites. And they began to notice this pattern that was developing here. And so if the hardy-dogs would keep quiet, then I can continue. But the interesting thing was that Moses when he was praying, they prevailed in battle. At the end of the day, the Israelites won the battle and a great victory was declared. And Moses gave to God that name that day of Jehovah Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner. He's the one who leads us into battle. We're the ones who put Him first. And it's a great picture of us following God into some of the battles of our lives. Now, the question I want to address today is, how does He defend us? Come with me to the New Testament now, and you go to Ephesians chapter 6 or Ephesians 5, and you will read there how God has given us armor. He's given us the armor to protect us. And you'll notice there's great protection for the head, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the shoes of shod with the gospel of peace. He speaks there about the sword of the Spirit and the shield of faith. And these are all of the items that He has given us for our good and for our protection. But as some people have said when they have analyzed this armor, there's nothing for the back. There's nothing to, and some people when they've preached sermon, they've said, well, you mustn't run away from the enemy, you must face the enemy. My theory is maybe a little bit differently. You see, I believe that God has your back. I believe that God is protecting you from behind. He's saying your job is to protect yourself in the front with all those aspects of what the armor of God looks like. But don't worry about your back. I've got it covered. And I love this thought about God, and I can find a whole bunch of places in Scripture where this principle would appear to be true. So I want to look at that this week. But today, I want to take you to another incident in the life of Moses. And in Exodus chapter 14, we have Moses in the most miserable kind of a place. He's standing at the edge of the Red Sea, and he's got this great big body of water in front of him. He's got the army of Pharaoh breathing down his neck from behind, and he knows he has to cross the sea. God has told him He's going to take him to the other side. Moses is totally confused. He can't understand how God is going to do this. But he trusts God. And God says to Moses, lift up your stick, point it across the sea. And as Moses obeyed, a great wind blew, and they were able to cross the sea. But there's such a beautiful part of that story that very often we miss. It says this, and as the sea was parting and the wind was blowing, the enemy was getting closer and closer from behind. And there was nothing Moses could do. The sea in the front, he looked behind and he could see the dust of Pharaoh's army descending upon them in the wilderness, and he thought he was toast. When all of a sudden it says this, it's beautiful, that the cloud that led them to the edge of the Red Sea moved around and went behind them. And the cloud formed a barrier between Moses and the people, and the enemy of Pharaoh's army. And Pharaoh's army drove into this thick cloud, and they were totally confused. They couldn't find their way through, which gave Moses that opportunity just to wait for the sea to be parted and for him to make his entry into the sea and his exit out of the other side. Man, that's a great story. It's a wonderful story, but it illustrates the truth I'm trying to say. As you do in the front what you're able to do, as you by faith do what God tells you to do, God says, you do what I tell you to do, and by faith, you must believe that God has your back and He will protect you as you do what He tells you to do. So when you're running and you're looking for a way out, don't look for a way out, look for a way through. Don't look for something to protect you from behind. That's God's job, and He will do that very adequately. People, listen, God has your back. You put on the armor of God as you need to put on. You put on the armor of God that is your part in this battle, and God will do the rest. It's simple. I hope you find it to be a truth today for you, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with you for the rest of the week. But now go and have a great week. Great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.